And we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Ango show. It is October 2nd, 2000. Oh my God. I don't know. Something's wrong with me, dude. It is October 2nd, 2024. I'm so glad you guys could be here with us. What an interesting day. We are talking NXT. We got the new era of NXT on the CW, and very, very exciting episode. A lot of great things came to fruition. And guys, if you're not subscribed to me, I don't know what to tell you. The things that I told you a year ago are literally happening today, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. We got new title belts. We got the new brand, the new logo, the new direction for NXT, and we're definitely going to talk about it. And I just want to say shout out to all of you guys for pulling up. I don't know. YouTube's been really weird these last few days. I don't know what the hell is happening. Things aren't really getting pushed out as much as normal, but it's not a big deal because the show always goes on, guys. You know, we stick to the process. Monday through Friday, we are live on the channel. Hopefully you guys are all having a great week. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed NXT last night. We're going to talk about the show plus some other stories, especially because there is a new signing that's been revealed for WWE. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. And yes, we are going to talk about the AEW TV deal. I'm going to take a drink of water. I don't know why I'm getting dry throat. Nonetheless, though, lots of good things to discuss. If you guys are here watching live, I appreciate you. The best way to support the show is by clicking like on the stream. And if you guys want to monetarily support the show, there's a couple different ways to do that as well. Super chats. You guys already know the drill. Super chats. What else? Memberships. Yeah, I don't know. Today's a little bit of a funky day. Just been a really busy morning already. And obviously we just have so much stuff happening. So I'm just super glad you guys are all here and we're all watching and we're all talking wrestling together. Shout out to Laws, Darth Bane, Chester, Tony, Adam, Samuel, a lot of the regulars that are here every single day. I appreciate you guys. A lot of people in the chat. I appreciate you all. NXT. Let's talk about NXT and we'll get started with that. Really, the big thing, guys, NXT has become... It's obviously become one of my favorite shows on a weekly basis. It's just extremely consistent. Excuse me. I don't know why my brain is farting. Like today is not working for me for some reason. I don't know what the hell is going on. Busy day. Very, very, very busy day. So maybe that's why. But nonetheless. Just NXT has always been extremely consistent. I'm really happy with the way NXT has grown and blossomed into this really fun show. But really the thing that I want to talk to you guys about right off the rip was the rebrand, right? Like we are officially here in a new era, within WWE, all the TV deals. And the cool thing is we still have one more reveal to see, which is Raw on Netflix, which obviously we'll have to wait until January for that. But NXT got the new logo. It's silver and black. So they've gone away from the gold. I'm going to talk about that, why that's so important too, because trust me, that is incredibly important. But they've gone away from the gold color scheme. NXT has found a new color scheme. It's black and silver. Just like SmackDown, they have licensed new music for the intro. This time they are doing 2 Chainz and Lil Wayne, which I thought was absolutely incredibly smart. Millions from Now is the new theme song. Look, guys, I told you, I said this before. I know this is probably not like the popular opinion, but hip hop is cool and heavy metal music is not. And I feel like such a heel for saying that, but you are trying to reach a massive mainstream audience, and I would like to argue that hip-hop is the foundation for a lot of the mainstream stuff that's out there, whether it's entertainment, sports, or whatever. There's a huge hip-hop influence everywhere else in sports. For some reason, there hasn't been that big of a hip-hop influence in pro wrestling. We're starting to see it now. WWE got Meg Thee Stallion for SmackDown. Now they got Lil Wayne and 2 Chainz for NXT. I think that's a good idea. I think it's a good choice. The new entrance, or the new like theme song and the video package and stuff for the intro, just really cool. really, really cool. I think it's fire. I think it's presented extremely well. I think NXT on the CW has a very, very nice presentation, because one of the biggest things that I complain about, and I don't know if you guys remember this, but I feel like you guys would, I've often complained about WWE having NXT just look so unserious. Really, that's been the big thing. Like, NXT always just looked unserious. The show was good, but the branding was just so unserious. All the colors, and then they went from NXT 2.0, and then they went from that to NXT 3.0, which was white and yellow and gold, and I didn't like that color scheme at all, man. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't rock with it. I didn't personally like that at all, and quite frankly, I'm just so glad that they moved on away from it, because you got to make, the show is already good, so why not make it look more serious, you know? So just in general, I was really happy to see that. Now, I put out a tweet, and if you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I don't really use it as much anymore, so I wouldn't blame you, but I did put out a tweet.
Sepha Malik super chatted $11.17. I guess Motor City Machine Guns didn't appear on last night's show even though they announced their debut at NXT, or Triple H changed plans and he's going to send them to the main roster.
Safa, let me get to that super chat, and actually let's just answer it. Safa, thank you for the super chat. So yeah, the Motor City Machine Guns thing is an interesting situation. Now, one thing that I want to point out, and I think maybe the best thing we could do is wait and see until next week, because next week they're going to be in St. Louis. We know it's going to be, what is wrong? Oh man. We know Fraxium versus Theory and Waller is taking place next week in St. Louis. And I have a feeling there's going to be new tag titles that are revealed as well, because those NXT championship belts are pretty much like the original ones. I don't think they've ever changed it. New brand. Yeah, I mean, look, what I would say is this. Motor City Machine Guns confronting Fraxium next week in St. Louis is a very, very big possibility. But on the flip side to that, it is possibility that Triple H may have changed plans as well, because we know that Penta and Shelly may not be Penta and Shelly. I'm so dumb, dude. What the hell is wrong with me? Penta and Phoenix, they're still in AEW. So until they cross over to WWE, which they were slated for the main roster, it is a possibility that WWE could have changed their plans with them not coming in. I don't think that's the case, to be honest. I just think Motor City Machine Guns were never planned for Chicago. I think Motor City Machine Guns are being planned to confront Fraxium in St. Louis after they defend their titles against Waller and Theory. That's how I'm looking at it. I think Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin will be great on NXT. I don't think there's any plans that have changed. And quite honestly, like, maybe I'm wrong here. So let's just kind of say that. Maybe I am in fact wrong, but I would go as far as saying WWE never wanted Motor City Machine Guns in Chicago. And the reason for that is because they also needed to beef up the St. Louis show. Hence why they put the tag team championship match on that show as well. Yeah, I don't know. Thank you, Safa, for the super chat. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else about that. The thing with Triple H, the reason why I don't think Triple H would send Shelley and Sabin to the main roster is because I feel like the reporters got the Penta and Lucha Bros situation all wrong. I think Triple H knew there was no pen to paper just yet, and I don't think WWE's blindsided here. I think there's just a lot of shenanigans going on in the world of dirt sheets. So I don't think Triple H changed plans, and I don't think so. I think Triple H and Shawn Michaels knew MCMG are planned for St. Louis. And if they're not planned for St. Louis, then good golly gosh, guys, I have no idea. Maybe they wait for Halloween Havoc. I don't know. But I'm telling you, something about this whole situation is funky. It's going to be really interesting to see how that all goes. So, yeah. Safa Malak, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much. What up, Pee-wee? Yeah, I want to go back to the thing on Twitter that I was talking about. So yesterday I put out a tweet. If you guys don't follow me on Twitter, I don't blame you because I'm not really tweeting as much. I canceled Twitter Premium. The reality is that I love interacting with you guys, and I feel like the more interactions I can do through live streaming will be a lot better. But I put out this tweet. New NXT logo is fire because it reminds me of a lot of the past NXT logos combined into one. But it's with a color scheme that works because we've seen them do this previously, which if you guys remember NXT No Mercy, we saw the black and silver color scheme before. I also put out that I love it. However, you got to get away from gold and the colors because NXT today is better than all previous eras. And that is something I do genuinely believe. So that was the last thing I want to mention in regards to the new NXT presentation for the new era. The silver and black, it's not something that NXT has done. You know, they're not black and gold anymore, bro. This NXT is in its own little world. Black and gold had developmental, then it became an indie spot fest, bullshit ass type of show, which is the reason why it got its ass beat from AEW, because they tried so hard to stack it with top indie wrestlers instead of doing what NXT was always supposed to do. WWE reverted back to that formula with NXT 2.0, but then it became all colors and bullshit, and the branding was pretty freaking ass, to be honest. I was very adamant about that, and then they changed it to the white and gold, which I thought it looked cool, but it just, as time went on, it still reminded me too much of NXT 2.0, and it just didn't look professional. It didn't look serious. So this new gunmetal black, platinum, silver logo, new branding, it just looks really fire in my opinion. Plus they got the hip hop music, plus they got the color schemes and the graphics and everything just looks great. So I'm going to give them props where it's due. I think SmackDown's rebrand has been successful. I'm very much in love with NXT's rebrand, and I can't wait to see what Raw's looks like. I'm waiting to see WWE screw it up. Let's talk about the show. We got Roxanne Perez versus Julia. Did not expect this. I did not expect this. Cora Jade returned, and she helped Roxanne Perez defend her belt. I was blown away by this. It was a very good thing. You know, I thought Julia would win and Stephanie Vaquer would go face to face. Clearly, Shawn Michaels and Triple H have a long-term plan here because Cora Jade returning in Chicago, helping Roxanne Perez. There's a lot of history there. Them working together is a very interesting thing because they're two of the top women in the women's division. I'm super excited to see what they do here. The match was fine. I thought Julia looked good. It was not, I don't know, like it was just, I think WWE built this match up since literally we knew that she was coming to WWE. So I think maybe I anticipated a little bit more. But I liked it. I liked the match. I thought it was fine. You know, Julia's going to take a little bit of time to get in. I'm glad to see that Julia did not come in and get an immediate win streak. I think that's another thing too. There is a lot of benefit to that. I think, if I'm being honest, I think with Julia, she should, you know, she's getting the loss out of the way now just makes a lot more sense, honestly. And they did it in a way that still protects her. She was obviously, you know, screwed over by Cora Jade. The thing really that you guys need to know is that the women's division is just on fire. It's incredibly on fire, and the NXT, the way they book the women, it's everybody can learn from Shawn Michaels here. The team at NXT understands how to book and how to present the women. They do a phenomenal job. I was actually really shocked too, in my opinion, to see Cora Jade come out there, deliver that DDT that she does to Julia outside. Roxanne wins, and then also Roxanne is still kind of shocked. Like this wasn't something that was like planned or formulated. Which I like that. It adds a little bit more intrigue there. So I thought this was cool, man. I thought this was a great way to open up the show. Julia, the more that she works in WWE, the more she'll get acclimated, the more comfortable she'll get. And I'll be extremely excited to see what they do with her long term. I have a feeling she ain't going to be in NXT that long, but we'll see if WWE gets it right or not. One of my favorite matches of the night, we got the street fight between Wes Lee and Zachary Wentz. Holy shit. Holy shit. Wes Lee comes out with a cart full of weapons. I mean, these guys are going after each other. They're going out and they're doing just some really cool stuff here, man. No, I thought it was fire, bro. Like I thought Zachary Wentz and Wes Lee just had a phenomenal match. I don't think we'll see the Rascals. I don't think we'll see Wes Lee and MSK ever again on NXT television. I think it's over Wesley got the win to end the series of matches. Zach Wentz needs to be given credit where credit is due. He did a incredible coast to coast. One thing that I wrote in my notes too was Zach Wentz being thrown over the top rope. He's supposed to land on top of the table, completely misses it. These guys just put it out there, all on the line. I'm not too big of a fan of street fight matches, to be honest, because I feel like we see so many weapons, Extreme Rules, street fight, this, that, whatever, hardcore match, whatever you want to call it. They all just have different names. But I like the fact that Wesley and Zach Wentz went out there and just had a banger of a match. Just really, really good. Like, really, really good. And I'm taking a look at the chat. And, I think this is really interesting. Like, Sandman says, reminds me of Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano's match, right? Like, there's a lot of cool shit. There's a lot of cool shit in NXT when they do matches like this. But I think really the cool thing here, too, was the build for this match was just super unique and really good. That's tough. That's tough. It's not an easy task. It's not an easy task for WWE to do these kind of street matches on NXT television when you're doing it with a TNA talent that maybe not everybody remembers, right? And that's the thing. Wesley and Zach Wentz were tag team champions, and obviously they have their history, but you can't expect everybody to know. So what WWE did a really good job with in this particular match is leading up to it, having this partnership with TNA. They've done a really good job of explaining their history, their story, and everything like that. So I thought that was really cool.
Will Chisholm super chatted $5. I'm sorry I don't see it with Cora J. I don't think she's a strong promo or wrestler. I don't mind Julia losing, but not a fan after Tombstone.
Okay, shout out to Will Chisholm for the $5 super chat, activating TTS. Look, wrestling is subjective, man. Like, everybody's going to have a different opinion on their favorites and who they like and stuff like that. But I think Cora Jade is a good wrestler. I think one thing that people got to remember, too, is that she is still young. Like, these are younger talents, like, that are coming up. I think a lot of people forget that even Cora Jade, like, didn't spend that much time on the indie scene prior to coming to NXT. But the thing about Cora Jade is she does have the charisma that is needed to be a WWE superstar, and I think she does a good enough job wrestling. In terms of promo, everybody's different. For me personally, I think promo was... There's a lot of people in professional wrestling, main roster, NXT, AEW. I think there's a lot of people that could improve in their promo. But that's just because, like, my opinion is that promos sometimes sound forced. I think Cora Jade was a victim of that, where in NXT, especially NXT 2.0, it's like Cora Jade and all of these women and men were given these scripts, and they were just like a little too cheesy, and like the acting skills were just a little too cringe. But I don't think Cora Jade's bad at all. I think Cora Jade is good. But again, wrestling is subjective. It is subjective. Everybody has a different taste. I'm not looking for her to be Charlotte Flair. You know what I mean? I'm not looking for her to be like Charlotte Flair. I'm not looking for her to be Becky Lynch. I want her to be Cora Jade. That's the thing in pro wrestling. You hear somebody else cut a promo and you're like, I want them to be like this person. No, I want them to be themselves. So that's how I see it. In regards to Julia, yeah, I don't mind Julia losing either. Losing after 2 matches is fine because they protected her. She got cheated. Julia didn't lose because she wasn't the better performer or the better wrestler. She lost because she got cheated. And this is because WWE is developing a storyline here where, like, now we're going to see what happens with Julia and Stephanie Vaquer and Roxanne and Cora Jade. Like, what are we getting to? And maybe WWE is going to do a tag team match between Julia and Stephanie Vaquer versus Roxanne and Cora Jade. And then eventually it's going to turn into a fatal 4-way match. And maybe that's what they will do. Maybe they'll have Julia win the match by pinning Cora Jade instead of pinning Roxanne Perez. And that way Roxanne Perez could get moved up to the main roster. My point that I'm making is that something from this loss will develop into a bigger storyline, which I think I didn't expect Cora Jade. So I think, in my opinion, like, this is the right way to go about it. It's just a matter of what they do. The follow-up matters, right? How they got there is fine. I thought it was good. Follow-up matters. Shout out to Will Chisholm for the $5 super chat. Thank you. Appreciate it. You know, lot of great things being said in the chat, and we'll take a look at that in just a second. But no, I don't think Julia was buried. As far as Wesley and Zach Wentz goes, I thought their match was awesome. I thought that was really cool.
David Primero super chatted $9.99. Excited to watch NXT, but I don't understand why CW is delayed on the West Coast and I get spoiled. They need to have CW air live on the West. Also, do you think we'll get new belts for the other titles?
Okay, great question by David Primero. $9.99 super chat. Appreciate it. Okay, so this is where I'm at with it. As far as NXT being delayed on the West Coast, I have a very strong feeling that's like the same with any other broadcast channel. I could be wrong. I don't know the ins and outs of the technical aspect of that. I'm just being honest. I know AEW in the West Coast airs on a delay, and I believe Fox, when SmackDown was on Fox, it was the same way. Maybe I'm wrong, so somebody who is a little bit smarter with this or might actually know this could probably correct me. As far as watching wrestling goes, one of the things that I've actually noticed for myself, and this is just myself, so this is not something that I recommend everybody do, but I noticed that like I try to go to bed a little bit earlier now these days, and that's obviously why I don't do post shows anymore. I do all my live streaming throughout the afternoon. But I would go as far as saying that WWE NXT on the CW, like it was a great episode and I watched it live. But I believe CW app is going to have the show immediately after it airs or 24 hours later, which anybody could just download the CW app. It's free and then you'll be able to watch NXT. So if that is the case, I'm actually really excited about that because, like I said, I'm trying to go like... For me personally, I feel like if I don't want to watch it live because I want to go to bed early, I just load up the app and watch it. Do I think they will get new belts for the other titles? You know, it's weird because the tag titles haven't been refreshed. They just came out with the Women's North American Championship. The Men's North American Championship hasn't been refreshed. It's been the same iteration since day one. So regarding the new titles, I do believe we're getting new tag titles next week. I do believe that. I think that's going to be presented just like how Shawn Michaels came out tonight. I think Fraxium versus Theory and Waller will be there next week opening the card. And I think Shawn Michaels will reveal new tag titles. As far as that goes, I do want to see the North American Championship get a updated look. So who knows, man? David, I really don't know. I do know that the World Championship and the Women's Championship, I reported that a year ago that it was happening. I was very specific on that, so I'm glad to see that's the case. I think the tag titles are next. Maybe they introduce another mid-card championship, or maybe they do something with they have the Heritage Cup thing. I wish the Heritage Cup was just replaced by a title belt. I hate that stupid trophy. Probably not the most popular opinion, by the way, but yeah. David, thank you for the $9.99. We were sent a $1.99 by NYCBB. Who do you think challenges Trick Williams next? This is a great question. This is the thing I'm constantly talking about in WWE NXT. That's actually an issue. So let's do this together. We're gonna pull this up because I think this could be actually really fun. Give me a second. This could be pretty fun, so let's do this. And let's pull up NXT's roster. Superstars. NXT. Okay. So when you look at the NXT roster, Andre Chase, you got Axiom. Let's go after singles guys, though. Let's take a look. Ethan Page still has to be in the mix somehow. But he did get hit with the GTS. So keep that in mind. He got hit with the GTS by CM Punk to close out the show. Maybe they send Ethan Page to the main roster. I don't know. That wouldn't shock me, to be honest. But they need people to compete against Trick. So Ethan Page for sure. Javon Evans has a big-time match against Randy Orton next week. I mean, I would imagine if he were to beat Randy Orton, that would be a very big thing. I know this probably won't be the popular opinion, but Joe Coffey, I could see them having him go after Trick, right? There's some history with Gallus and Trick. The biggest issue that NXT has is they don't really have people that are ready for that spot. Oba Femi's ready for that spot. Oba Femi's ready to go to the main roster right now and win the world championship from Cody Rhodes if you wanted. He's just a beast. And I don't think he'll ever drop that North American championship. So I don't know. Maybe Oba Femi retains against Tony D'Angelo next week, and then maybe from there you have Oba Femi versus Trick. I could see that being the case. Shawn Spears, I mean, technically they can have him do that if they want. They don't really have people that are ready for that spot, dude. They really don't. They really don't. I mean, NXT is going to have to figure it out. That's their weakness. Honestly, their weakness is their main event scene is pretty weak. The reality is that NXT has a very weak main event scene. Unfortunately. Thank you, NYCBB, for the super chat. Appreciate it. Darren Bus dropping a $4.99. There's no yawning on a live stream. Dude, you're telling me. You are telling me. Listen, I'm going to be real honest with you, though. That's the beauty of these live streams. I think too many guys want to put on a show. They want to put on a performance. What you guys are getting here is natural. It's real. It's authentic. Your man's tired. I've been grinding all morning. I've been working. It's a new month, you know? So we got a lot of stuff in the works. A lot of things happening on the back end as well that's like keeping me busy. And sometimes I'm going to yawn. And sometimes I'm going to cough. And shit, dude, winter's coming. I might sneeze. But that's the beauty of this. This isn't live television. I'm a human being just like you guys. So that's really cool. But what's really cool, too, is that we all love wrestling and we all get to talk about it every single day. And we get to interact with each other. And that's what matters the most. Darren, appreciate your love, bro. You have been, for a very, very long time, you have been rocking out with super chats and supporting the show. And I appreciate you greatly, bro. Thank you. Chester Franklin Jr. in the chat also says the trophy needs to be replaced. Yeah, the Heritage Cup thing, just give it a belt. I know it's not the right way to do it, but give it a belt. Replace it, give it a belt, call it the European Championship. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Joe Hendry against Trick could make a lot of sense, but Joe Hendry is a TNA talent. And this is why I've talked about this in the past, but this is where the relationship between TNA and WWE is so good, because they do have that relationship. You know, Josh Alexander versus Trick could be fun. Joe Hendry versus Trick could be really fun. I think there's a plethora of matchups from TNA. Moose versus Trick could be really fun. It really depends. You know, Hammerstone's been in NXT, so we'll see. Back to the show. The one thing I didn't care about the show was Miz TV. I didn't like Miz TV. I don't even really want to talk about it. It's not. They're playing into Tony D'Angelo possibly beating Oba Femi. I just don't think it's realistic. And I like Tony D'Angelo a lot, but I just don't see it happening. We had Fatal Influence versus Jada Parker and Lola Vice. This was a pretty big win for the new trio. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it was cool. We did get the Bianca and Jade Cargill appearance. They were alongside Kalani Jordan. What is this sound? I'm hearing a sound. Do you guys hear a sound? Oh, okay, that was really strange. Yeah, you never know what's gonna happen, guys. Sometimes you just get some technological bullshit, right? Yeah. Fatal Influence, I don't know. Are we gonna get Bianca and Jade defending the tag titles down there? That's a possibility. That's a really big possibility. Yeah. It was decent. It was fine. Not really that excited for whatever's happening between Jada Parker and Lola Vice. I'm not really excited about, but it's fine. Nonetheless, we get the main event: Ethan Page versus Trick Williams. Absolutely love this match. Just really, really cool. CM Punk is the special guest referee. Really, really cool. Trick Williams looks great. I had a feeling he would win. Ethan Page loses. Can't be mad at all. He came into NXT extremely hot. They gave him a nice big push. I don't know what's really next after this. Regarding this match, though, it was funny. Trick Williams is celebrating the confetti's falling. He's got the new NXT Championship belt in his arms. And then somehow, some way, I don't know why, guys. I don't know why. But CM Punk hit Ethan Page with a GTS. Now, I'm assuming that was just in a response because Ethan Page hit a GTS inside the ring. But he hit a GTS on Trick Williams. But I thought this was cool. CM Punk, great referee. There was a little bit of a Twitter segment that they uploaded on Twitter between him, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H. If you guys haven't watched that, you guys should watch it. I can't show it to you guys because it's not necessarily safe for work. But you guys should probably watch it out. Yeah, great match. Trick Williams and Ethan Page was fine. I thought it was exactly what it needed to be. I personally was a big fan of having Trick win. The crowd absolutely loves Trick Williams. I hope this is something that is sustainable. I hope that they keep Trick elevated. The problem is they need more challengers for Trick Williams. That's just the reality. That's the reality. And I know this is not going to be a popular opinion, but if WWE can't put reasonable competitors against Trick, which is the same issue that they have with Cody, then they need to stop taking the belts off of heels until they have baby faces properly built up, because they have it. They have the talent. It's just not always being booked that way. So that is something to keep in mind. With that being said, what we're going to do is take a quick commercial break. Why are we taking a quick commercial break? I'm going to drink some water. And what we're going to do, I'm going to grab my notes. There's a couple news stories we're going to be discussing. They're big news stories. Huge, crazy, exciting. You guys are not going to want to miss it. Drop a super chat if you have any questions or comments or anything you want me to read on the air. Don't forget, $5 or more guarantees that it gets read on this. No, I lied. $5 or more activates TTS, which I get interrupted. Every single super chat gets read. And if you guys aren't a member, become a member today, because that also guarantees that I'll read your questions or comments. We're going to take a quick minute break. And then with that being said, we're going to jump into some of the other news stories, and we're going to talk about some controversial topics. So with that being said, stay tuned. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Ango Show. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Thank you to everybody who is dropping comments in the chat. Thank you to everybody who's dropped a super chat so far. Definitely appreciate it. Lots of things to discuss. So let's discuss them. I think one of the craziest things that a lot of people aren't talking about these days in professional wrestling is scouting, right? Every single day we're hearing reports of, maybe it's the Lucha Bros, Motor City Machine Guns, Ricky Starks, Daniel Garcia, Malachi Black, Miro, whatever it may be. We're hearing all these different stories, right, of talent who are becoming free agents or talent that are, potentially re-signing or not re-signing or whatever. But one of the things that's actually really interesting to me is how many things become rumors and not necessarily reported, and then eventually WWE confirms those rumors, right? And sometimes it just takes a little bit of time for you to get confirmation on those rumors. Now, I talk about scouting because scouting is a very big thing of what WWE does, and it's a big part of their business, but nobody really talks about William Regal and what he's done. One of the big things that WWE did last night on NXT, on the CW debut, was they aired a vignette. And it appears that WWE is essentially confirming the debut of Delta. Now, Delta is going to be a breakthrough star in WWE NXT. A lot of people draw comparisons from Delta to Rhea Ripley. And, we've talked a lot about, hey, Stephanie Vaquer is coming in. Hey, we know Stephanie Vaquer is coming in because they confirmed it. We know that WWE brought in Julia. And WWE has been trying to beef up their women's division. But essentially what WWE has figured out what to do here is that they figured out how to scout talent before they break through. Now, let's talk about this, right? Because historically, this is something that WWE has done pretty well with. A lot of people forget that a lot of names that were in NXT were, people that came from AEW Dark. And, maybe this is where WWE has an edge to Tony Khan, but Tony Khan and AEW, they'll feature talent on Dark or Rampage or Collision or whatever. Obviously, Dark's not a thing anymore, but they would feature talent, and then WWE would look and say, whoa, AEW's promoting a talent, and then WWE would go sign them because they weren't signed to a contract, right? And it's we saw that with Nikita Knight, who is Thea Hale. We saw that with Cora Jade, who was Elena Black. We saw this with several other talent. And, the reality is WWE has figured out a way to beef up their women's division throughout time. But now Delta was rumored to come to WWE. And what I found really fascinating here was this vignette that they aired for her. It shows her walking at like a crossroads, continue going left on the expressway, or you could turn right and go into NXT. And obviously they're teasing the arrival of Delta. Again, she is somebody that's been heavily compared to Rhea Ripley, and obviously that part of that becomes from the Australian background. But for those who don't know what they're getting with Delta, this is going to be a very big signing. And I love Julia, and I love Stephanie Vaquer, and I think they're going to be great talent. But I like to think that this NXT era that we're going into on the CW, especially with the women's division, I think it is going to be very reminiscent of the 4 horsewomen that we had when it was Charlotte, Bayley, Sasha, and Becky. And really, like, for Triple H, when he had NXT in his possession at that time, he did a really good job of highlighting those 4 women. And they all went on to the main roster. And now look at it from a different perspective. It's 2024. WWE didn't really have that next big crop of talent in the women's division, but now it is very clear going into 2025, you're signing Delta, you're bringing her in, you're already airing the vignette, so you're treating her like a big deal. You're bringing in Stephanie Vaquer, you're bringing in Julia, you're bringing in Cora Jade and Roxanne, not to mention you have a lot of women who are up and coming. You have Sol Ruka, you have Kalani Jordan, who, by the way, like, Kalani Jordan is a incredible talent, very incredible talent. And some of these people don't even have a wrestling background, which is super intriguing to me. But I found it incredibly cool that WWE is airing the Delta vignette, because I've been wondering, and I've said this before on previous live streams, but I've been kind of wondering and toying with the idea of, like, hey, how does WWE bring in 3 key signings without necessarily damaging the other person that debuts prior to them. And obviously the jury is still out on this, right? Like, we got to wait a little bit of time, guys, before we can really understand who's going to be impacted by these debuts. But I find it really cool that so far Julia's come in. She already feels like a big deal. They just had her deliver a great match with Roxanne. Now Cora Jade returns, who we all know Cora Jade was hurt. You have a crop of talent who are ready. Now, hold on. There's a reason why I'm bringing this up, because you're bringing in Delta, you're bringing in Stephanie, you got all these big names, right? There's some key names. There was a time period where every wrestling fan was convinced that Nikita Lyons was going to become the WWE NXT Women's Champion. Nikita Lyons got hurt. Now she's back doing live events, but she's rocking, 2 knee braces, right? Maybe it's bad timing because WWE is bringing in some of these names and other people who may have been slated for a big push, whether it be due to injury or whatever. Maybe they're going to go down the card because of these higher value names are coming in. But that's why it was so important for WWE to establish a women's mid-card championship belt, which is why I'm so glad they did that with a women's North American championship, because now Nikita Lyons will come back to TV. And while I think she's good enough to be the NXT Women's World Champion, there are other names coming in who I think should be champion first. But because they have the mid-card title, people like Nikita who come back from injury, they still have an opportunity to go after a title and work their way back up, through rehab and just getting back and acclimated to what they're supposed to be doing. And then eventually, the purpose is a ladder. The purpose of a ladder system or formula is to let people climb up that ladder. Some people are naturally just going to be placed higher on the ladder because of their name or where they come from or their experience or whatever. With NXT, that's where it's tricky, because you have some people who come in who are really, really talented and, they are worthy of a championship reign, but then something prevents them from doing so. And then when other people come in, it pushes them back down the ladder. So, having that women's mid-card belt's a really good idea, but now I'm wondering with this crop of talent that they have, because it is very clear they have a stacked women's division, we can't even forget about people like Lola Vice or Jada Parker. Lola Vice is somebody who, when she wins the NXT Women's World Championship, it's going to be a big deal because she does have a little bit of notoriety outside of WWE, and that stems from the fact that she was a Bellator fighter. And obviously having that real world experience and knowing people within the world of MMA, there is that cross promotion aspect of it. So this is a really good thing. WWE's bringing in Delta. I think it's a good signing. I think it's the right signing. I'm glad that they're airing a vignette. The word going around is that she'll be there by Halloween Havoc. How they go about it, how they book her, what do they do there, I don't know. But I am excited to see this. And, look, WWE's got that partnership with TNA. Who wouldn't want to see Julia versus Jordynne Grace? Who wouldn't want to see Delta versus Jordynne Grace? And there's other women, obviously, in TNA, but there's just a lot of things that you can do in the meantime until somebody is ready to go for that Women's World Championship. But I have a very strong feeling WWE at the next PLE, we're going to get a multi-women fatal 4-way, fatal 5-way match. I don't know if WWE plans on doing NXT Deadline, but it might not be a bad idea to do the Iron Survivor match for the Women's Championship, because that could be really cool as well. But a very big signing. Delta's going to kill it in WWE, and I'm very happy to see that. No, really, just extremely happy. Yodon says Ethan Page is going to screw over CM Punk in Hell in a Cell. That would be interesting. I've been convinced that it's going to be Seth Rollins, but that is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Very good stuff coming in on the chat. Sharon Dye says, I've been watching the East Coast broadcast for WWE. I couldn't get that last night for the CW. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about that. I'm going to find out for you guys. You're not the only person to ask, Sharon. A lot of people have been asking. And it's a good question because I really just don't know the answer to it. I don't know how that works. I think the CW is like a regional thing. So like every city has different airings. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't want to give you the wrong answer, but I'll look into it for you guys. I'm sure somebody else knows and it's just going over my head. Yeah. So what else do I want to talk about? Oh, yes. Moving on from WWE, I did want to talk a little bit about AEW. I spoke about this on the main channel today just a little bit, very briefly. For those who don't know, Tony Khan is set to announce the new TV deal for AEW. We got some information regarding this TV deal. Now, we don't know the exact numbers of this TV deal. This will probably be one of, like, I'm just glad that we could kind of conclude here with the TV deal talk, because honestly, for years I've been talking about AEW's TV deal. I've been very much following all the stories. I've talked to my own sources about it. I've talked to people within the TV industry about it. AEW, Warner Bros. Discovery, I mean, it's very much a done deal at this point. Tonight, AEW is celebrating the 5-year anniversary, and Fightful Select and Beyond the Bell podcast, which is Andrew Zarian's talk show, they've reported that AEW Dynamite and Collision will be simulcasted on HBO Max starting in January. I keep calling it HBO Max. I know that's a rookie mistake because it's no longer HBO Max. It's just called Max. Dumb decision, by the way. But nobody really knew if simulcasting would be available for AEW programming. And we knew that programming would be on Max to a certain extent, but there's a couple things that have happened in recent days that made me think, okay, this is going to be part of the announcement. So for those who don't know what I'm talking about, one of the first things that you guys need to know is that Bleacher Report has removed AEW's pay-per-views, and they're no longer doing them. So as of this time, until the Max streaming service becomes the new home for AEW pay-per-views, you could buy Wrestle Dream on payperview.com, you could buy it on Triller TV, you could buy it on YouTube, and you could buy it from your cable or satellite provider. But Bleacher Report is done with the AEW pay-per-views. So my belief is this, and if you guys have been watching a series of my content, then you know exactly what I'm going to say. AEW is going to have this new TV deal with Warner Bros. Discovery for 2 shows guaranteed, which will be Dynamite and Collision. I'm not factoring in Ring of Honor just yet, because I do think Ring of Honor does get on TV at some point, but I don't know if it's through Warner Bros. Discovery, okay? But we know Dynamite and Collision will both be simulcasted, so live on TBS and TNT, as well as the Max streaming service. Okay, that's cool. Great. I believe we are going to get pay-per-views on HBO, on the Max streaming service. Does that mean they're free? I don't know. Does that mean that's just the host of it? I don't know. We don't know. They're going to announce it, but I'm assuming they're going to just be rolled into it, just like WWE is on Peacock, right? But also, there's been no talks of Rampage, and then I've recently talked about how I've heard that Rampage could be going away and being replaced, which, let's just be honest, Rampage is not a valuable show for AEW. It provides no value for AEW. I don't believe Rampage provides any value for Warner Bros. Discovery. I don't think Rampage has ever really meant anything other than just extra content, and I don't think that's the content that they need. So with that being said, when I look at the whole situation with the TV deal, it makes sense that Rampage would not be simulcasted, because the likelihood of Rampage being there is gone. Now, within this new TV deal, though, there is no more exclusivity with Warner Bros. Discovery, which means that AEW is able to shop out other TV deals. Now, if you follow my content, you know that I've spoken about AEW Shockwave potentially going to FS1, Tubi, or wherever else Fox may want to put it. And AEW Shockwave, one of the biggest concerns that I had was, hey, it might be a 1-hour taped show. I really don't want it to just replace what Rampage was, which unfortunately Collision doesn't even feel like a big deal anymore, let alone Rampage. So what are they going to do with Shockwave? You know what I'm saying? It's a weird thing. I think it's safe to say that Rampage is canceled. And I think with AEW Rampage being canceled and Dynamite and Collision being simulcasted on TBS, TNT, and the Max streaming app, I think it's safe to say that AEW has landed a TV deal with Warner Bros. That is not only going to make them a lot of money, but it's also just going to be a really good thing for them long term, because now they could venture off and build relationships with other providers. So I don't think we'll get Rampage coming back, but I do think we'll get to the point where Collision, Dynamite, maybe Ring of Honor, Shockwave, I think AEW is going to get to a point where they're just going to be creating a ton of content elsewhere and then they're just going to get paid a lot of money for it, which would be really good. But also, I think with the simulcasting, I think what's really cool about that is it does open up doors for new opportunities to gain new audience members. The Max streaming service is not one of my favorites, to be honest with you. This is just because I feel like throughout time it just lost a lot of its value. A lot of the content that I would typically watch, I don't feel like they provide much, right? Which is why it's a good thing, though, that people do have HBO Max. Like, it's a good thing that people have that streaming service, because if you don't watch AEW and you see Collision on there, like, it's going to open up opportunities for AEW's growth. But the problem is with streaming services, they cost too much money. They don't provide as much value as traditional cable does. And I'm going to say this because I genuinely believe this. I have canceled every streaming service unless I get it for free. So Netflix and I think Hulu are provided by my cell phone service for free. So therefore I have those. Apple TV comes through my cell phone provider for free. So I have Apple TV Plus. But like, it's all about creating a unique package to getting people to watch. And the reality is this: AEW being on Max does more for AEW's growth than it does for the Max streaming service growth. Like, I don't imagine Max streaming service growing a lot from AEW's point of view. I see that app helping AEW more, which is a good thing. Like, I think that's a really good thing. And for me personally, like, when I see this TV deal, we're talking maybe $200 million a year, $150 million a year. We don't know the exact numbers, but with AEW, they're getting money from not only just one TV provider, but maybe 2 or 3 TV providers. And that's really the big game changer. And look at it from another perspective. WWE has found a way to make money from Raw and SmackDown and NXT all being valuable. If I'm Tony Khan, Dynamite and Collision both need to be rebalanced. They need to have its own identity. They need to do something to make these shows feel different from each other and feel important. And I swear to God, I keep saying that. I've been saying it for years, man. But you got to do the brand split. You got to give them unique rosters. And, you know, nobody's talking about Ring of Honor, but let Ring of Honor be its own thing. The people that are holding belts in Ring of Honor should be only on Ring of Honor television. You know, like, these are quick fixes that AEW can make. And then the reality is, by doing these quick fixes and by actually building a brand identity for each show, I think AEW will be very successful long term. I think right now the problem is Collision doesn't feel as important, and it's not going to feel as important because when's the last time it felt important, right? So I'm glad they're getting a new TV deal. I'm glad it's being announced. I'm glad that simulcasting is a big deal. I'm glad that pay-per-views are going to the Max streaming service. There's a lot of benefits for that. But none of that really matters from a user and viewer experience if they don't physically improve the quality of the shows. That's important, man. It's incredibly important. A lot of great stuff, man. A lot of great stuff. I'm excited. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen. Definitely intrigued to see what happens. Just some quick updates. I know people are asking about it. Fightful came out with a Q&A on their Select service. Miro has not been granted his release from AEW. They're creatively not on the same page, and it sounds like there is nothing. There's nothing to it, so that's kind of unfortunate. But yeah, very, very fun stuff, man. Very fun stuff happening in wrestling, TV deal stuff. I'm more intrigued to see what happens with Ring of Honor. I think that's really the biggest question mark. Nobody really seems to be talking about that. Even people that I talk to really don't be talking about it. So who knows? But yeah, we'll call it a day. If you guys have any last minute super chats, you guys want to ask any questions, go ahead and do that. Yeah, any super chats you guys want, go ahead and get them in, and we'll answer those before we call it a day. And appreciate you all obviously coming and spending your time with us. Justin Kennington dropping a $4.99. My question is, do you think we'll get any other debuts next week besides MCMG? No. I think Motor City Machine Guns They go face-to-face with Fraxium after their tag team match with Theory and Waller. I think we get the new tag titles. Maybe we get Stephanie Vaquer next week. I'm not sure. You know, Stephanie Vaquer has not been there physically. We saw her on NXT via satellite, but we haven't seen her. So I'm not too sure. Justin, that's a great question, though, because I feel like everybody knows everybody's anticipating debuts. A lot of people are coming out of contract. Honestly, the one thing I really care about I'm having a brain fart because I'm getting breaking news. Okay, yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I think a lot of people are excited about the potential debuts. Nobody really knows about these contract situations. It's getting kind of confusing. It's getting kind of fun. But I will say this. I do think MCMG will be a pretty big debut anyways, so that'll be good if it's just that. Thank you, Justin Kennington, for the super chat. Yeah. I don't know. Jimmy Uso coming this Saturday? I don't think so. But you never know. Cody Rhodes was apparently on Pat McAfee's show? Okay. I'll take a look. Yeah, CM Punk gave away free pizza. What a nice guy. I don't know. Thank you, Justin, for the super chat. Ladies and gentlemen, that is today's show. Thank you to everybody who dropped super chats. Thank you to Cornell Bryant for engaging in the chat. Hassan, so many of you humble. I see you guys. Raging Girl Gamer, so many regulars here. And Zamarian Williams, appreciate you. Mark. So many people pulling up. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And a lot to discuss tomorrow, trust me. Dynamite. Tomorrow's show might be 2 hour long, honestly, with how much there is going to be to talk about. So, yeah. Thank you guys, and I'll see you next time.